to any problem, the main thing is find the cause first.
The general feeling of the people in Failsworth, and they're not happy.
No, the youth service is one of the things I think it's one of the things is dying out, and that's what we need more to get our community more active.
I can truly, echo the feeling of dissatisfaction.
Welcome to Oldham Green Podcast. Today it's a special episode to introduce our election candidate, Andrew Jones, one of our Oldham Greens, young Oldham Greens, and is currently studying political science. He has hit the ground running through his community engagement since joining. He is now officially our Oldham Green candidate and is running for councillor for Failsworth West. So, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. How was your day?
Yeah, it was great, to be honest. I mean, we did some phone banking earlier. We got in contact with some of the residents in Oldham and had a positive response, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yes, we did. It was quite nice, actually. So, Andrew, for our viewer, could you introduce yourself? If you would like to know what's your background, etc., who actually you are.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Andrew. I'm 18 now, and I study politics, economics and sociology at Oldham Sixth Form. Something which I'm deeply interested in, something that I want to really commit my life to. I think sociology, economics and politics are so vital to, what we see around us and so impactful, and it's something that I want to, devote my life to. I want to help the people in my community because I've seen firsthand how not only, the average person, but someone who is young sees Failsworth West and Oldham, and how the issues directly affect, me and everyone that's around me.
Wow, that was brilliant. Yeah, that's something. It's like young energy you're gonna bring in. That's brilliant. That's what we need in Oldham, the young energy, and you're the future. Next generation, you're the future of this society and the planet. So you are running for Failsworth West, right? So what connection do you have to Failsworth West, and how long you've been lived there or worked there?
So I grew up in Failsworth West, really. I've spent most of the years that I can remember living in Failsworth West, so I lived there for 10 years. Yeah, so I know lots of people in the community. I went to school there, and I know firsthand all of the issues that people are facing, and I know the general feeling of the people in Failsworth, and they're not happy. They're not happy with how the council's being run. They're not happy with how the government's being run, and I want to come in with a fresh, young perspective, and I want to try and change that for the people who I grew up with.
So, would you share one of the issues that probably suffering with that you probably would like to tackle?
So there's a big emphasis in Failsworth right now about the issues around antisocial behaviour. So, particularly with youths, people who stand around, potentially even, doing stuff that make people feel insecure in their own homes, loitering outside of houses, going into people's gardens and shouting and swearing. And what I want to do is I don't want to make these people out to be villains like they portrayed in the media. I want to understand them. I'm a young person, when I come home from college or when I used to come home from school, there was nothing to do. So people are forced to A, stay in the bedroom, play on their PlayStation, which is something that parents aren't happy with. People need to socialise. Or people are B, they go out, but they have nothing to do when they go out. So they stand in front of places like the local Tesco or in front of people's houses. And they're loud because they're not happy. They're frustrated because there is nothing that they have to do. So I would want to advocate to implement and introduce more youth services, more things that the youth can do when they come home from school, or the youth can do when they're bored during the summer holidays. So
no, the youth service is one of the things I think it's one of the things is dying out, and that's what we need more to get our community more active. And like you said, to any problem, the main thing is find the cause first, and that's why exactly you said you're gonna look into what's causing these issues and how we can get to the bottom of it and deal with the cause, so in future that doesn't happen again. No, that is absolutely brilliant. So what first got you interested in local politics?
So I was always good at identifying the issues that are around me. I was always the person who liked to complain, like this isn't right in my local area.
Good complainer.
I'm a very good complainer, or seeing that people around me aren't happy with what's going on in the local area.
Yeah.
But I never knew how much and how impactful local politics actually is,
Yeah.
and how many of these decisions local councils make.
Yeah.
So local councils should, responsible for these youth services that I previously mentioned, or local councils are, they have jurisdiction over potholes, they have jurisdiction over bin collections, all stuff that people aren't satisfied with. When I'm seeing all of these things going wrong in the local area, you look to the root and typically it's the local council. So I think people underestimate the importance of local politics, and it's something that I would like to put not just my voice, but all of the people around me into.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. And I believe you regularly attend council meetings as well, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you picked up most of the stuff. So you have experience seeing how the council works and the debate they do, and how they pass the motions and the policies, right?
Well, yeah, you said the debate that they do, or the lack of debate that they do, because most of the council meetings I go to actually get adjourned because the parties can't cooperate. Personally, I'm not a fan of reform policies. I'm not a fan of Labour policies, especially the direction they're taking now. But I am more than willing to work with people who also have the shared interest of putting the community first. And this is what the people aren't seeing. They're so vested in arguing with each other that they don't get anything done for the people in Oldham, and that it's not working.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing our politicians are forgetting, that the residents have voted them for a reason. They are their voice. And rather than working together to make the world or the area a better place for their residents, they just are arguing how to save their seats, probably. And I think that's something all politicians need to think of, that the residents should come first to do, and then that's something that seems like you will be looking into, and that's main focus. Obviously, our Green Party, obviously, we always feel like our community, our residents, they come first than our power or anything. But no, well done, thank you. So Green Party, right? So you are quite new to the Green Party as well. So why did you decide to stand as a Green Party candidate?
So for the longest time, I mean, I always, because I realised politics is the place that I want to be. I want to make positive change for the people around me. And I was always like, okay, none of these parties really represent me. I'm going to be an independent, and I'm going to push, the agenda that I feel. But after I realised, after looking into it more, and the Green Party being given more airtime, the Green Party actually agree with me. I agree with the Green Party.
Yeah.
And it's something that I would more than happy push the agenda of. I think that the Green Party isn't just a party that cares about the planet, that like people say.
Yeah.
They also care about the people who live on it. And I think this is what some people are missing. There's so many conversations about things that just aren't factual and stuff that aren't true. And the Green Party want to show you what's the facts, and they want to make conclusions based on that, not just emotion.
No, absolutely. I think we were in the same boat. When I joined Green Party, initially I was also same as you, rather be independent than being a part of any political party, because seeing how the politicians work and the things that they're not listening to their residents or the constituents. So that's why initially I was also in the same boat, that okay, I would rather be independent than. But looking at the Green Party, looking at their policies, and now, like you rightly said, we got more airtime. Therefore, more people join Green Party now. We are one of the third largest party now, because most of the people can connect. One, they learn about the party. One, they know what we stand for. We are here for the environment. But what's the point of saving this planet if we can't save the people within the planet? So we are kind of, everything goes hand to hand together. It's not like one or the other. So you look after the environment, the people, the planet, and well-being and everything. So yeah. To your view, how do you describe the party's core values?
I think we deeply care about the environment. We deeply care about the people who live within the environment. And it's really politics that's fair. I think politics that, puts people before profit, that puts, communities between corporations, instead of cooperation, sorry. So this emphasis on people and the environment rather than corporations and profit. And I think that's mainly, that's one of the main things that we stand for.
Absolutely. These are the obviously few values, but we are also here to make life easier, giving people hope. I think that's Green Party is the one thing people are looking after now, because we are giving them hope, because we are talking about the issue they are facing in daily life. And that's, I think, one of the things. The more people learn about party, the more they connect with the party. And the members are the heart of the party, exactly, rather than the leaders. So, sorry, excuse me about my throat. So, in terms of standing in Failsworth West, why did you choose particularly the Failsworth, not anywhere else in Oldham?
Failsworth is the place that I grew up in. Failsworth, I know the people who I'm going to represent, and I feel like with my experience of living there since I was young, I can truly, echo the feeling of dissatisfaction. And, the people of Failsworth feel forgotten. They feel like they're not taken into account when the council are making decisions. And I really want to put Failsworth on the map, because Failsworth is a great place. Failsworth, is such a strong community, and they're so often feeling left out and feeling like they're not taken into these massive decisions.
In the last few years during the local campaign, how many local party did knock your door?
I never opened the door to a political party. Honestly, I saw stuff from independents up, but no major political party went out of their way to knock on my door, my family's door, to try and convince us to vote for them.
Right. So basically, even the local politicians, they are not interested in going to Failsworth and knocking door, but they're expecting people to vote for.
Yeah.
No. So will you be going and knocking door?
100%. Yeah, I look forward to it.
No, obviously that's one thing. Obviously, we have a responsibility towards the residents. So obviously, we listen to them. If you're not there, not talking to them, how do you know their problem? And probably that's one of the things current politicians are missing. They're not listening to their residents. So, and likely is it's not. We need to put Failsworth back in the map. Failsworth West. Yeah. So yeah, we'll get there. We will get there. One of the thing I think was coming to my hand. You are quite young, right? And the people might say that you are very young, you're college students, but there are other politicians who are very experienced. They've been spending years in politics, or learning policies, or even implementing policies. So how do you respond to that criticism or even critique?
Okay, so I've got two things to say to that. First of all, just because I'm young doesn't mean I don't have experience. I grew up in a family where both of my parents' only income was benefits. So I really know what the benefit system is like. I really know how hard it is for people who have to live on that, and who are also constantly villainized by, the elite wealthy. So I don't think there's any direct correlation to age and experience. And secondly, experience is important, but so is perspective.
Yeah.
I'm young. I want to bring in new insight to Oldham Council, something that's very much needed. Yeah. I want to add a young flair to Oldham, and I want to bring in some young energy. I think that we're the people who are going to be, paying the taxes, the people who are going to be taking the jobs, who are in education. Best believe we should have some sort of input in it, and I think it's the perfect way.
And like I said, the youngest, you are the future of this country. And obviously, if we are talking about the future and you guys not being a part of it, it doesn't make sense. So absolutely. So it's so great to have seen youth coming forward, taking the interest and trying to shape this country for the better future. So thank you for coming forward, Andrea. And like I always said, we need to make this world better for our future generations so they can pass into the next generation. We talked about one of the local issue. Is there any other local issue you would like to share?
Would you like it in a list or a paragraph?
Or something that probably sticks out more people can resonate with?
So in Failsworth, a lot of people, and I was speaking to a mum recently actually about the two primary schools that we have in Failsworth West. So there's Props Hall and St Mary's. The primary school used to have a lollipop person who would stand there and guide the children across a busy roundabout. That person is no longer there. Children are left to cross the road on their own if the parents aren't there. And I think that's a massive issue. Parents, aren't happy with that. And I think it's something that's vital.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it served as a point for not only those in St Mary's and Props Hall, but also those who are in Co-op Academy Failsworth, just up the road. So parents are worried about the children crossing roads, rightfully so. And I think that this is something that we should, prioritise. We need children to be saved on, busy roads. So I think that's definitely something that we should look into, and definitely something that should be resolved as soon as possible.
Do you think these issues, is it lack of counsellors' commitment towards their residents, or is it due to the funding gap or the finance gap that have in Oldham Council at the moment, which is quite significant?
I think it could be both, but what I will say is whether or not there is a finance gap or a hole in the funding,
Yes.
We do not take the money from children. We do not take the money from children's safety. Yeah. That's crucial. Absolutely. When we constantly see, rightfully so, but Oldham Centre being done up, Oldham Centre getting a new park. Yeah. We need children to be safe. Let's sort our priorities out. Every single year, there's a joke about it. Every single year, you see they're doing something different in Oldham Town Centre. They're trying to regenerate it again, and every time they just rip it up again. So I think it's really important that the funding is divested to what we need it to. And then also, I think there's a lack of willingness from the councillors. I think because there's no young councillors, because there's no one who, is my age, there's no young perspective. There's no one who's like, okay, well, people who I know or people in my area are really frustrated and really scared of the fact that they can't cross the roads without, with being safe, a roundabout. So I think there isn't that perspective in the council either, which is very much needed.
Yeah, I think our councils are very good at repainting the buses or using the town centre as wrapping it up, wallpaper. We got tired of every year. Let's change it again, the colour, rather than sorting their priority out. You're right. This is like we need to understand our priorities, and priority should be given to the most vulnerable in our society, most needy in our society. The residents that are worried about the safety of their children, and so that's where the most priority should be, than repainting buses or the building and demolishing and building town centre again.
Yeah, they basically just moved the gates to the park and built a new park. What's the point? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. When the residents are worried about the safety and you're building a park, it doesn't really give a good impression, does it? Honestly, there's a lot of issues I know that we could go on and on again, and but yes, if a Green elected, will make difference in people's life, a positive difference. So, in terms of your priorities, what if you're elected? If the residents elect you, what would be top 3 priorities for Failsworth West?
Wow, you put me on the spot there. Well, I think if I was to be elected, I think first of all, people are worried about the cost of living. Yeah. People are worried about the fact that the energy bills are through the roof. People are worried about the fact that they can't afford to heat or eat. They have to choose. So that would be one of my top priorities. Secondly, we've highlighted it, the safety of people. I think that we need more youth clubs, and I think we need our lollipop people to be there, ready to bring, the youth across the road, and ready to bring the youth in and give them something to do in the community. And I would also focus on putting Failsworth on the map. I think, really getting the funding for Failsworth to be a better place, for, alleys not to be covered in rubbish, for real, change to be made in Failsworth.
No, absolutely. No, those are great priorities, and it's all resident focused priorities. So brilliant. So you said bringing Failsworth back in the map. So do you have any particular strategies, certain things you would like to do to bring Failsworth West in the map?
Basically the opposite of what councillors are doing now. The bickering, the arguing over such tiny details. I want to cut that out. I want to make sure we can work with people, even if we disagree with them, to bring about positive change. Last 3 council meetings, I believe, that I've been to have all been adjourned.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. They get A, postponed, or B, extended. No real decisions are made, and there is so much that people are still left waiting for. So I think that the willing to cooperate with other groups of people and other parties for the people in Failsworth is something that I'd be willing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's obviously that's the right way to get back in the map, to get people to know that Failsworth is a place, Failsworth West is a place where things flourish. It's a beautiful place. Yes, absolutely. In terms of, you talked about cost of living crisis. How would you, they're making the energy efficient homes? What is the green policy on that? How green policy would help to achieve that?
So the Green Party wants more houses to be properly insulated. They want people to be able to be warm in their house without having the heating on 24/7. So I think if we was to get more houses properly insulated and more houses that have like solar panels and run off renewable energy, it'd be cheaper and more environmentally friendly. I think it's common sense, if anything. People need to be warm in the house, but they shouldn't be paying extortionate amounts of money just to have that, what is now a luxury. So people should be able to put the heating on for a short amount of time, have the home properly insulated, and then not worry about heating or eating.
On that, but obviously that kind of goes hand to hand. Obviously, cost of living crisis, you give an efficient, more sustainable home that can heat up with a little cost, and that kind of have an impact on the cost of living as well. Is there any other thing that may have, because to do these things, people might say, okay, you want us to insulate the home or do this solar panel, but that cost huge. So so someone may not be able to afford. So how would you tackle that situation? Because people probably go, okay, you want me to put a solar panel on my roof. That's fine, but I don't have money or I can't afford it. Or you want me to insulate my home or something, make it more energy efficient, but I don't have the means to do. How would I fund this? So how would you tackle that situation?
Realistically, I think there should be council subsidies to people who want to put it on their houses. I think that this is something the council should encourage through a subsidy. Having an efficient household and having a house that can be warm without having the heating on isn't something that should be exclusive to people with money. So I think that the council should subsidise and help out families as much as they can, because a greener Oldham and a greener Failsworth is beneficial to everyone.
Absolutely.
And it's something that they should be encouraging.
So it's something that council needs to look into, see make it easier, some sort of funding available for the resident that they can easily access. And as a Green, you will be advocating for that. Well, brilliant. In terms of thinking, what political difference can a local councillor actually make day to day?
Well, I'd be there, whenever anyone needed, as much as I can be, to support people if they have any issues in regards to the council. So if someone had issues with the housing, if someone had issues with the bin collection or anything like that, I'd be there that they could call me and I'd bring it to the council, because I'm there to represent them, not myself. So if anyone had any issues, that's something that they could bring to me as a person and as a councillor.
So your point of view, a councillor role is very crucial, right? And you are the first point of contact for any of the issues they face. How do you manage that? Because look, you will be representing thousands of residents, and then if you keep getting calls, and obviously, rightly so, you will be the first point of contact. How do you manage that pressure? How do you prioritize the things? Because you cannot be there for everyone. That's a fact. You cannot be there. But how do you deal with all the needs for all the residents? Because they all will pick hopefully will pick you as to be the councillor. So how do you make sure that every resident is heard?
So I think that if there's any specific issues that links to any of the positions within the council, then information can be passed, and that can be a direct conversation with someone who has more authority within the council. And I also think through stuff like holding surgeries and stuff like that, people can, talk to me directly about their issues, and if I can't act on them directly, I can give them advice about where to go. So I think having that information constantly accessible, because I'm the first step, not the last. I think if people need help that I can't do, I would give them the information of where to go, and I point them in the right direction.
So is there any surgery being performed by current councillors in your area?
As far as I know, there was one recently when Mark Wilkinson defected to Reform. Right. But that's the only one that I've ever been made aware of, and I had to message him directly to find out about that.
Oh wow! So basically, if the due is not, people are not aware of it, or it's not basically easily accessible to the resident. So something you will make it easily accessible to all the residents, right? No, that's absolutely, and that's the key. They see you helping them.
Yeah,
that's the key. In terms of the community and local services, one of the questions I was thinking that how do you think council can better support the local services, like the transport? We touch on community space, but how does support better? Like obviously we've seen the transport. Sometimes people just wait for hours to get public transport. Sometimes buses pass by without stopping. Even trams and etc. Sometimes it's not safe. Similarly, the housing issues and other local services. So what do you think council can do? Can better support in local services?
So I think if buses come and buses go without picking anyone up, or that they just don't turn up at all, I think that transport should be more held to account. I think that people should have reliable access to buses, trams, etc. without feeling scared. So it's something that they should be able to access, and they should be able to access help numbers and anything like that if anything was going wrong with it. But in terms of buses not turning up, they should be held to account. I think it's something that people can't just let go under the radar or just accept as a normal thing, because it's not, and it shouldn't be. People need to go to places. People have places to go. And it needs to be treated as a priority rather than a side note.
What role do you think community involvement should play in local decision making?
Could you elaborate?
Basically, councils are making decisions, and that affects communities, right? But community doesn't have any input in it.
Yeah.
So a councillor may make a decision that might go against, may have an adverse reaction. Don't you think community involvement should play a bigger role when local decisions are being made, like through probably a survey or something? Like getting community involved in when you're making a policy, for example.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if I become a councillor, that's something I prioritise, and I think that's something that everyone should prioritise. If you're making a major decision that can affect the people in your ward or the people in your constituency or Oldham in general, you should consult them, because you're representing them, not yourself. So you ask them what they think about that, and you'd explain it to them. You'd make sure they're aware of what the policy is, and get input on it. Because again, you're not there to represent yourself. You're there to represent the people in your constituency or your ward.
So you've been living in about 10 years in your area. So have you seen any decision been made for the Failsworth West and the resident being consulted?
No, not at all. No, I've never. My parents or I have never been consulted about a decision that's been made in Failsworth.
All right. So is that something you would introduce probably if it doesn't exist? And it is crucial because obviously the decision councillor makes, it affects our daily life. Like, for example, the lollipop lady, it affects people's life, right? And then if the decision was made by the councillor, okay, we're not going to have that one or the funding, so that resident should be consulted about that. And obviously the decision was wrong. They should be taken as seriously to keep the residents safe. So that's something obviously you will be doing for the community, to be there and be their voice and get them involved in decision making, right? I think we talked about this one as well. Like, I think that kind of nicely tied is like, obviously when decision is making done, so obviously you hear that, so they have a voice, they've been given the voice. And but what would you do if there's a decision you have to make, but it's a quick and you don't have the capacity or the time frame to have to consult with the residents? What would you do in that scenario?
Well, they elected me as a politician, so I'd hope that they have the faith that I can make the correct decision. So I would act on my own intuition of what I think they would think is best and what would be most beneficial for the area. Because obviously it's not every single time that you can go around asking every person in your ward what they think about a policy, but I would use my own intuition and what I know from the people that I've lived with would think.
And obviously people will have the opportunity to speak with the neurosurgery and everything, so they will have access to you anyway. And like you said, when your priority is the people, the resident, so obviously the decision will be for the people, not for yourself, right? So that's brilliant. Moving on to climate and environment, that's one of obviously our green. We always talk about it. Some people say we are the tree hugger, we are not the socialists, we are not this, but we are for everyone, right? So climate change can feel a global issue. So what does it mean for Failsworth West specifically?
I think there's nothing positive about climate change. When you felt a couple of years ago the hottest summer we had on record, I remember being in school. I was in Co-op Academy Failsworth. We have like an atrium that has like a kind of plastic roof, really weird. But that took the sunlight and it intensified it. It was really bad. We couldn't be in the atrium. It was insanely hot. So I think these are all real effects that people in Failsworth West are feeling. And I think it's something that they experience on a day-to-day life, whether people recognise it or not. And something that we should definitely, and I would advocate to make better.
So in your Failsworth area, Failsworth West area, so I'm just keep saying Failsworth, but it's a Failsworth West area. Any local environmental improvement you would like to see, such as like the green space or air quality, or even like active travel?
I'd like people to be more encouraged to take public transport. I think it takes more cars off the road, which reduces the amount of carbon emissions, and also it's cheaper. It's cheaper to get a £2 bus ride to wherever you want to go rather than get in your car and travel on your own. But to do that, we need to make it more inviting. We need it to be reliable, and we need it to be safe. So I think that's links to what we were talking about earlier. We need a reliable bus service that people feel safe on, and then people will use it. So I think that should be a priority. And I think in Failsworth we have some green spaces. We don't use them. They never look as good as they could. The community, I'm sure a lot of people would be more than happy to get together with a little bit of funding and make it a really nice area. And make it a nice green space that people feel comfortable being in.
So you talked about the public transport. People should use more public. How accessible is that in Failsworth area?
So as far as I'm aware, we have a decent bus network. So your local bus stop should be a couple of minutes walk. Depends where you want to go. I always use the 83 and the 84. But yeah, so it's relatively inexpensive. Something that should be accessible to people, and people should have a bus stop near them.
In terms of the accountability and representation, how do you stay accountable to residents if you're elected?
I just want constant input. I want I don't want people to message me and be like, "Oh, I hate your guts," and really negative. But I want constructive feedback. So if people aren't happy with a decision that I've made or something that's went on, I want to know, and I want to know how I can do it better next time. we're only human. We're not going to do everything perfect on the first try. But I want to, really learn what it's like to be a councillor in Failsworth West, and I really want to act on what the people want. So I would try and stay accountable through surgeries, through having a place that people can contact me when they need, and responding to them as soon as possible.
Usually, you said this is your first time, but obviously you have experience attending the council meeting, and that's you have picked up quite a lot from there. So if they elect you, hopefully you will get elected as it. So, but I don't think you will struggle there because you already picked up the bad thing. Well, you already seen the bad thing happen in the council, and you know what needed in there. So hopefully you will bring the positive stat to the council. How can people stay people contact or engage with you outside the election time? If, for example, I would love you to see as a councillor, but for example, let's say you may not win, but if people want to contact you or engage with you to do certain community work and etc., how can they engage with you?
So I mean, the chances are this election, my phone number will be made available to the people in Failsworth West. And whether I become a councillor or not, I want to be there to support the people who I grew up with, who I, still know. So whether I become a councillor or not, people can always reach out to me. And it's something that I would definitely focus on because I'm not doing it for the title. I'm doing it to help the people there, and I'd help them regardless of, whether I get elected or not.
So we are coming to end of our thing here. I have a few more questions. So I'll just rapid fire them to you. So what would success look like? What would success look like for you at the end of a council term?
Success would be having a positive impact on the people in Failsworth. So the people in Failsworth being able to say, during this term, this council has done some good work, and I feel better off than I did this time 3 years ago.
And if listener or our viewer take just one thing away from this conversation, what would you like it to be?
That green is here, and green is going to be on your ballot paper, and you should vote for green.
Absolutely. Green will be there, and we are trying our best to put candidates in every single ward, so you will have the opportunity to vote for green and make a better future for yourself and your future generation and for the community. That kind of bring us into our podcast. Please do look up our policies. We have amazing policies in terms of the green space, in terms of the public transport, health sector, finance. So please look up. If you have any questions or any feedback, please drop us an email or reach out to our social media, and let's get our green elected for this local election. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.